What's up YouTube, how you doing? This is Mr. Tybox123 and in this video I'm going to be talking about the Nexus 10 from Google. So the Nexus 10's been around for about 4 months now, and I've had mine for the duration of the time. For those of us that were lucky to be able to pre-order on the date of release, got those fairly quickly. For those that didn't, there was a short supply afterwards, and it meant that there was a reasonable amount of difficulty getting hold of them. But now they're quite easy to get hold of again. And I just wanted to have a little bit of discussion around the Nexus 10 itself and also some of the ecosystem, and hopefully give you guys a good indication as to whether or not you should actually go ahead and get yourselves the Nexus 10, either as a first choice or maybe even as an alternative to something else. Now, we did a whole bunch of videos on the Nexus 7 a short while ago, and as a lot of you know, I gave that my #1 in terms of all of the summer devices that were around, all of the summer gadgets, and I absolutely loved the Nexus 7. Now, the Nexus 10 didn't really stop there. It went forward. They actually made it even better than the Nexus 7 in terms of hardware. Now, first up, we've got those amazing dual speakers on the front, which I absolutely love. I don't know why on the likes of the iPad, for example, they put the speaker on the back and it's got a tiny little grill. It's absolutely horrible. On the Nexus 10, we've got the speakers on both sides, either side. On the front, they're front facing, and you get a much nicer experience when you're actually viewing media or any kind of music or anything that has any kind of audio. Now, next up, we've got that huge resolution screen with a massive PPI. I believe it's about 300, and it performs absolutely fantastically. Great clarity, great contrast. Everything about the display is absolutely gorgeous. It's got a good battery life as well. It's got about a 9,000 milliamp hour battery, and it lasts for me about 7 or 8 hours doing kind of light to moderate working. If you start stepping it up with media, I find it lasts just slightly less than that, maybe around the 5 to 6 hour mark. But needless to say, that's a good battery life on a fantastic tablet with such a huge display. Now, the rest of the specs, it's got 2 GB of RAM and it's got a dual core processor. Performs absolutely perfectly in virtually every scenario that I've put it under, whether you be doing normal work or any kind of media kind of browsing or anything like that. Absolutely fine. Games, absolutely fine. It runs spectacularly. So really, everything about the Nexus 10 is absolutely fantastic. Now, the only problem with the Nexus 10 is the apps. Now, Android and Google decided to go down the route initially of having these applications that just scale because they've got such a vast number of resolutions in their Android device portfolio that it was really the only way they felt that they could do it. The problem with that, and the problem that obviously Apple found as well, and the reason they went down the route of having iPad applications and iPhone applications, is that most of the applications that work absolutely adequately on a phone device on that kind of 4 to 5 inch screen really don't scale very well up to a 10-inch display. Now, the Nexus 7 got away with this because it was really just a slightly larger phone. If you look at the Note 2, for example, it's only about 1.5 inches or 2 inches bigger than that. So it gets away with a lot of the scaling on the applications. But with the Nexus 10 being such a big screen, the likes of the Twitter application, the eBay application, Auto Trader, I could go on and on with these applications that they've just scaled up from a phone application to work on the tablet, and they're absolutely horrendous. And this really, unfortunately, and it literally saddens me that I've got this absolutely fantastic tablet, and there really are hardly any tablet optimized applications for it. Even the main Twitter application is just literally a scaled up version of the standard application, and it's absolutely horrendous. It doesn't work well whatsoever at that resolution. On top of that, there really aren't that many applications that have been optimized for tablet and then that have been optimized for this incredible high resolution display on the Nexus 10. Now, obviously the applications from Google, they seem to be pretty good on the tablet side of things. I'm not quite sure whether they support this high resolution natively or not, or whether they're just scaled up, but they seem to work quite well. Any of the third-party applications, with the exclusion of 1 or 2 that have actually brought out tablet optimized applications for the Android platform, it really is absolutely horrendous. And like I say, it completely saddens me to say that, because it would be so nice to be able to pick up the Nexus 10 and have the kind of flexibility and usability that I get with the iPad, for example, just to kind of switch around the operating systems and have a little bit of a mixture in terms of my end user experience. And that for me really is the crux of the Nexus 10 and what it's all about. Fantastic hardware, fantastic price. I think it starts at about £329 or about $380, I believe, in the US, which is quite significantly cheaper than the alternative which most people would look at to be the iPad or even the Galaxy Note 10. So for me, incredible hardware, absolutely love the hardware and I really enjoy using it. I love the back of it and I love the feel of it. I love the speakers on the front, I love the performance, I love the screen. The cameras aren't fantastic, but they're still decent. The problem with it is just this application ecosystem. Now I'm just going to put up some screenshots on the screen of some of the differences between the iPad optimized application and the scaled up one that you would get on an Android platform. So for example, first of all, I'll put the Twitter one up here and you can see that the Android one is just literally scaled up from the phone and it's just horrible to use. It really doesn't suit a tablet in any way whatsoever. You can see the iPad one is absolutely, beautiful on the iPad. It's got that great kind of menu bar down the side. It's much easier to navigate your way around rather than having that scaled up option. Now also I'll just show you the eBay application, and the eBay application on the iPad is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, totally different to the one on the iPhone, and it works fantastically well. It's been totally tweaked to work on that bigger screen and it just really is quite spectacular. And another one I'll show you, which is probably one of the worst of all, is the Auto Trader application. Now obviously not a huge number of people use this, but it's just an excellent example of how these applications just don't scale well to the Nexus 10 or to any of the big Android tablets. Anyway, this is not about an iPad versus Android or Apple versus Google or anything like that. This is just to educate you guys, in case you're thinking of going out and buying one of these devices, what the upsides and the downsides are on both sides really. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I wanted it to be as educational as possible. Thank you very much for watching and I will see you all in the next video.